Ladies and gentlemen, welcome today to another edition of the NASCAR Chase for the Cup 2005 video game. It is race number 15 on the season for the Busch Grand National Series, and we head to the Dodge Raceway for the Dodge Motorsports 300. 300 laps around this very short 3/8 mile short track, the shortest track not only on the season but on this entire NASCAR Chase for the Cup 2005 video game. This is going to be a bull rank, old-fashioned short track race and some beating and banging, likely going to be going on throughout tonight's race as well. And if this race does get done soon enough, I will be running a second race tonight. Yes, a possible doubleheader with the Busch Series on NASCAR Chase for the Cup 2005. So without further ado, we're going to get this race underway here quickly. Kevin Harvick, our series driver, virtue of you guys, the fans, fan voted before the very start of the season for me to run as Kevin Harvick in this game for this season. Currently coming into the standings battling with Kyle Busch and Bobby Hamilton Jr. for a possible spot at or possible championship at season's end. We'll see what this race will bring here today. Dark Crypto, Ethan, Cars One Boy, Kyle Larson fan, and many others. Welcome on into the stream. Friday night short track racing. Green flag is in the air. Harvick and Hamilton will lead the field to the green. "300 laps around the bull rink. These drivers are going to need patience here today. Patrick Shadley, welcome as well. Short track racing indeed, and Harvick already off to leading the first two laps. And you can see already what the lap times are going to look like. Harvick having the clean air, fresher tires. This is probably going to be some of the faster laps of the race. So once things get into lap traffic, the times will slow down a little bit. 12.666 that last time by for Kevin Harvick. Quickly pulling away just a couple laps in. Now we got in the 12.5s that time. Very flat racetrack as well. A little bit of banking in the corners, but not really anything at all. It is a fight for the bottom all the way around this racetrack. No practice, only qualified for this race today, but I'll tell you what, Kevin Harvick is hitting his marks pretty smoothly here. Kind of guessed on the setup going in, and honestly, the car's sticking pretty well. And granted, this isn't a very fast racetrack either. As long as you're not too tight, really, I mean, should have a decently handling car. Really all in the driver for the most part here today. Driver spotter, and that's about it. Kevin Harvick reaching speeds just over 100 miles an hour, not quite cracking the 110 by the end of the straightaway. Got to about 106, 107 that time into turn one. Now, if we do see green flag pit stops today, this is going to be very unique. In fact, there's no other oval on the circuit quite like Dodge Raceway when it comes to pit stops, as you're going to have to go underneath the grandstands. Not like kind of like Old Spice Speedway in the sense that it is on the right-hand side, but that is not traditional for ovals. There's actually a football field in the infield. We're technically actually racing in a football stadium, but there's a racetrack on the outside. Not your ordinary track and field track, but a legitimate asphalt racetrack. Never seen a full display here. A lot of fans in attendance for this one. This was always one of my favorite racetracks on this game. And honestly, of all the ovals that are fantasy tracks, this is probably my favorite oval that's a fantasy track in these EA Sports video games. We ran a truck race here and two modified series races here in our season there, so we have had some laps at the track. This is the first and I believe only time the Busch Series will be here for this season. So we're midway through the year. Almost exactly halfway, in fact. Just a couple races shy of being halfway through the season. Harvick almost about to catch lap traffic already. He's got about a 1.3, 1.4 second lead. We're at lap 19, and this is where he's going to catch the lap cars. It's about patience in a 300 lap race. It doesn't matter what track you're at, but especially at a bull rank like this, just got to be calm trying to get around these guys. Especially knowing there is going to be a constant flow of lap traffic all the way into this race. A lot of these guys trying to give Harvick about as much room as possible early on. A little contact at the back of the pack between the 119 and the 152. Dale Bradford got moved out of the way. Boy, Harvick's got a really fast car here. More contact. We're going to be seeing contact all night long. 106 car. Shane Kirkland. One that moved Russell Hughes out of the way. Some more contact up there. You can see side-by-side action. Oh, they about crashed off turn 4. Herbie Sadler almost ended up in the tire barrier towards the entrance of pit road on the outside of the racetrack. Did a great job recovering that race car to keep it off the barrels, and we do stay green. Contact with Sadler the next lap. Herbie Sadler is getting the short end of the stick from just about everybody already. I wish this was a real track too. Can you imagine if they brought all the EA Sports fantasy tracks to real life? The road courses included. It would actually race at like a canyon. Like on the mountain. That'd be a little dangerous. Considering all there is on that track in the game is a guardrail. You hit that, you're going over. At those speeds. Austin Cindric to win the Cup race at Indianapolis. I don't trust it. Not the Cup race, at least. I'm predicting him to win the Xfinity race, though. I don't talk really about the Xfinity race, and obviously IndyCar in general on the NASCAR Fantasy Podcast. It's usually Cup Series only, but because I'm going to see the IndyCar and the Xfinity race tomorrow, I'm not going to be seeing you guys after tonight to give you my predictions for those races. My prediction is going to be Scott Dixon to win the IndyCar race. He won one of the races last season at the Indy Road Course, and he seems to be heating it up right now as far as consistency goes. They were talking about during the Nashville Street Course race that he's closing in on the championship, kind of like he seems to do at the end of the year. He seems like he always gets hot at the end of the season. Well, there's only 5 races to go, so I'm going to go with Scott Dixon for the IndyCar race. And like I just mentioned, Austin Cindric will be my pick for the Xfinity Series race as well. My opinion, he's the best Xfinity Series road course racer. AJ Allmendinger, very close second. Obviously, Ty Gibbs is pretty good too. I think those will be the 3 competing for the win, but I think Cindric's going to get it done there at the end of the day. And then the Cup picks, you'll just have to wait for the NASCAR Fantasy Podcast on Sunday morning. We are caution-free early on in this race. And that lead is closed down a little bit as well. Harvick is getting through the live traffic pretty well, but not as well as whoever's in second place right now. It was a 1.6 second lead. It was down to 0.8 of a second there about a lap and a half ago. Now it's back to about 1.1 seconds again. Tyler Burback, welcome to the stream. Oh, you're going to be there too. Nice, nice. Yeah, I'm leaving tomorrow morning. Obviously at my house still right now. Plan to set my alarm for about 6:30. Which usually I'm out the door by 6 when I travel to the racetrack, but the race doesn't start till 12:30. And it's only about a 4-hour drive for me, so if I get up at 6:30, make sure I'm out the door no later than 7. I'll get there by 11. There'll be an hour and a half before the IndyCar race. It's no big deal. Now, if it's a Cup Series, I'd like to get there earlier than that because I feel like there'd be more traffic, but I don't expect there to be a whole lot of traffic on Saturday, so I think showing up, well, even, yeah, at 11 o'clock, an hour and a half early is plenty good. I mentioned that last night, Ethan, and I asked why, and you never told me why. I don't live anywhere close to Athens, Ohio, either. I live in Northwest Ohio. That's a lot further south. That's, if I'm not mistaken, I think that's like really down towards the southern tip of Ohio. That's a good like 2.5, 3 hours from me. Not sure if it's going to be a 1 or a 2 pit stop race today as well. I'd have to imagine these guys can go quite a ways on fuel here, considering this track is less than a half mile in length. Fastest lap so far by Harvick early on to 12.564. We're all ready to lap 50. Yeah, get to see Jimmy Johnson race at least one more time. So that's pretty cool. I think qualifying's actually going on right now. Actually, it probably just ended. How many of you guys watched IndyCar qualifying? I saw it was at 7. I did watch Xfinity Series practice when I got home from work. I watched the entire Xfinity Series practice session, but came up to set the stuff up for the stream tonight before IndyCar qualifying started. Harvick up the track. Got back to the gas just a little too soon, and you saw it kind of slide up the racetrack right into the 119. I believe the 119 car got into the outside wall as well. Just really got to tiptoe around this racetrack. Easier said than done. Obviously, really, it's the only time we've even seen Harvick slide remotely in this race. He's been pretty consistent and smooth around the bottom. Qualifying just ended. Who's on the pole? Who's starting up front in that race? Second and third sessions are the best. Usually when it gets pretty good. Bring a sign, welcome back, Jimmy. I'm sure I wouldn't be the only one to have that. There's probably going to be like 3 or 4 people doing that. Oh man, that got tight. 3 wide into turn 1, and Harvick just kind of let him go. He had a little bit of contact getting in there with Jared Holmes, but actually it was Lee Westbury. No, it wasn't Westbury. It's the 124 car, J.C. Mathers. Oh, 3 wide off the exit of 4 anyway. Well, no, not quite. Oh, now they are. Now they were into turn 1. Harvick clears them that time cleanly. He's got at least lapped about half the field already. A lot of these cars he's lapping a second time. J.J. Yaley's on the lead lap, not for much longer. Harvick gets around him. Not quite halfway on fuel yet. If they get to lap 75, it'll likely be a 1 pit stop race today. They get to lap 75 before Harvick is shown to be halfway on fuel at least. Definitely don't want a short pit here. You're going to lose 2 to 3 laps. Especially with it on the outside. It's the longest way around the track is on pit road. And obviously a lot lower speed. Paddle awards on the pole. Gotcha. Thanks. Oh, we do have somebody blowing an engine up there on the outside, and he almost got clobbered by Blue Castleberry in the 138 car. He was coming in hot right behind him. Luckily, that car was able to get to pit road just in time. That could have been our first caution of the day. Meanwhile, at the front, Harvick has led all 66 laps that have been completed so far. He's got about a 5.3 second lead. From the pole as well. Qualifying definitely means a lot here. You do not want to start outside the first few rows. How tight this track is. Start at the back, you're already over half a lap down on the initial start. Especially with 43 cars on the racetrack, at least on the starting grid. I would definitely love to go back out to Auto Club when it becomes a short track. I want to go out there next year with it being the last race on the 2 mile oval too, but I'm still waiting on the NASCAR schedule to come out. And the sooner it comes out, the more I can like actually plan. You know, because when I live nearly 36 hours away from the racetrack, I can't just like plan that out a couple weeks in advance. That's a trip I gotta like legitimately like plan in advance. Well, not so much like that it's that far, but if it's like the week after the Daytona 500, I'm likely not going to be able to go. But I'd like to purchase my tickets if I can go as soon as possible so I can get them. Problem is I can't even purchase them yet because there's no schedule out next year. I don't know when the race is. I don't want to purchase them if it's going to be the week after the 500. They'll be making a 15-hour drive just to get back home from Daytona, and then I have to fly out to California the next week. A lot of money. It's after being down in Daytona for a week, might I add, too. If I get a couple weeks in between Daytona and the Auto Club race, then that'll work. Like, if it's not the second race of the year, if it's like the third or fourth race, I think I can make it. But if it's race number 2 right after Daytona, that's probably not going to work out too well for me. Highly doubt it. I don't think my work's going to be too pleased that it took... Well, I mean, at least I'll have vacation the 1 week. They'll be fine with me taking the week off for Daytona because it'll be paid vacation, but the following week at California, they can be like, well, you were just gone for a full week. You want off the next Saturday, too? It's going to be tough to get off. It might be a lot easier than that. I don't know. Never really had that situation. I would just imagine it would be a kind of a hassle. Plus, also, the earlier all these dates get situated, the earlier I can request them off, too. Make sure I get the day off. 86 car bumped up Sean Batson up the racetrack, moved him out of the way, and now he'll stay out of the way of Kevin Harvick as well and surrender his lap. That would be Shane Kirkland in the 86. Not sure who that one driver was that blew an engine earlier, but... Well, even though it's 300 laps, short enough racetrack, this should be a one pit stop race today for these Busch Series cars. Craig Miller in the 168. Stay low and go. That is the motto here at Dodge Raceway. Oh, almost a wreck off of turn 4 again. The 116 and the 63 got together. The 116 car is pretty well sideways right in front of the race leader, Kevin Harvick. Drives by both of them. Now Harvick's halfway out of fuel on lap 86, so he tries to push it as far as he can, which he's going to this first run, just in case we get a caution. I can definitely see a caution coming out in the middle of green flag pit stops at this racetrack, and the reason why I say that is because of how tight the entrance and exit is to pit road, with it being on the outside of the racetrack. You're going to have cars trying to merge off the track as cars are merging on. And I would not be surprised if somebody ended up in those barrels by the end of the night. Oh, man, Harvick. He almost ended up in the wall off turn 2. Casey Atwood crossed him over, and then he gives a spot right back up in the next corner. Harvick puts him a lap down again. And now Atwood goes up the track as he overdrives 1 and 2 as well. California in general is a big racing state. There's a lot of, I mean, it's more known, I feel like, for dirt car or sprint car racing and dirt racing, but they love their motorsports for sure. Ohio's kind of the same way. Like, there's a lot of local short tracks up here. You know, we don't have as big of a NASCAR fan base because we don't really have any NASCAR. I mean, we haven't had any NASCAR tracks in the Cup Series. I mean, yeah, they added Eldora to the dirt. Eldora is a dirt race for the truck schedule there for about 6 or 7 years, but that was also the Truck Series, and it was a dirt track, which is popular here in Ohio. But guess we got the Xfinity Series at Mid-Ohio as well. Which always seems kind of odd to me because I don't feel like there's a lot of NASCAR fans here in Ohio. Like, I don't know too many people that have gone up to Michigan before, even though it's only like an hour and a half north to the Speedway, that is, Michigan, for like a NASCAR race. Your kind of deal is like, oh, why go up there to watch a race? It's twice as expensive as this dirt race we have 15 minutes from here that we can go to every weekend. That's just kind of the way they think about it, I guess. Harvick up the track a little bit in turns 3 and 4. He kind of cut down there on the 46 car of Ashton Lewis. Lewis actually in second place after passing Kyle Busch. Harvick finds himself back in line on the inside, right behind his, or in front of his teammate rather. Ron Hornaday, who jumps up to third. Kyle Busch now back to fourth. Ashton Lewis trying to pinch off Kevin Harvick again. He wants to stay on the lead lap. Harvick has nearly lapped the field, just over 100 laps in at Dodge Raceway today. Harvick underneath Lewis off turn 4. Drives it deep into 1 now, and it looks like he'll clear him off turn 2. So Harvick has lapped the field. Let's see if he can hold it now at the start-finish line this time, and will. Lewis goes way up the track. Got a little loose, it looked like. Car was wiggling around quite a bit. What a dominant race by Kevin Harvick here early on. He's putting on a clinic here at Dodge Raceway, but still just less than 200 laps to go, which although first 100 laps click by pretty quickly, but anything could happen. Especially knowing that everybody still has to pit in this race. We haven't seen a caution. That could likely change as well. Tires are getting older. You can definitely tell Harvick's sliding around a little bit more than when he was. Now that he's over 100 laps on these tires. The Truck Series in general is just not watchable anymore. When they go on dirt, they just... like, they drive in over their heads more often than not. And the fact that they tried to do that on dirt with not a lot of dirt experience is why the racing on dirt tracks lately for the Truck Series isn't good. I was at Eldora in 2019 for the truck race, and it was... I'd say it was probably the worst NASCAR race I've ever seen in person. And you still have a fun time at the racetrack, don't get me wrong, but, you know, like, looking back on everything, and, like, even in the heat of the moment, all the caution laps they run is like, this is just, like, not fun. Because you weren't really seeing racing. I think they ran, like, almost half the race under caution. There's, like, 60-something caution laps in a 150-lap race. Like, that's just ridiculous. I don't think they had a green flag run longer than 20 laps. Again, in a 150-lap race, it's not good. That's the driver's fault, though, too. That's all on the drivers. That's not a NASCAR issue. That's the driver's fault, because the Cup Series put on a good show at Dirt Bristol, I thought. Like, as far as dirt racing goes in the Cup Series, I think it works. I think they have potential. And we probably wouldn't have had that one big wreck if everybody could see properly. So, I mean, you just figure out a way for there to be a little bit better visibility. Cup Series, I feel like, can have 2 dirt races a year, and that could be a mainstay on the Cup schedule. And even the Xfinity guys, for the most part, still put on a good show, too. Like, they're aggressive, but at least they can handle race cars. Truck Series, they're aggressive and they can't handle their own equipment, so it's, like, just terrible. Except for the veterans in there, like Johnny Sauter, Matt Kraft, and those guys. Grant Enfinger. The guys that have been there for a little while. I mean, it is the older drivers. I think a lot of it just does fall on the younger drivers. It's the inexperience, which is one thing. You're going to have that. You know, I don't blame them for not being in the seat long enough. But I blame them for being overly aggressive when they're not in the seat long enough, because that's just where you need to mature behind the wheel. And be patient. Especially as you work your way up the ladder and you have longer races. You can't win the race on lap 1. It has been nothing but a runaway for Kevin Harvick. He overdrove 1 and 2 that time, slipped up the track a little bit, but that's okay. He's still got a 1-lap lead on the field. We're at lap 125. I would like to think we're going to be seeing some pit stops very, very shortly. Some drivers maybe trying to short pit, risk it. Again, we do know Kevin Harvick is staying out as long as he possibly can. Without a doubt. He stays out to lap 170. He stays out to lap 170. He's handling the car at least well enough that it's not terrible on these older tires. I know he'd still have to go another 50 laps to get to the end of the tire step before he would have to pit if he stayed out as long as he could. But he does not want to risk giving up this massive, massive lead and going a lap down on top of it. And maybe getting stuck there at risk of a yellow. I do not think this race is going to go caution-free. Even if we get over 200 laps in for the first yellow, I just do not think we're going to go caution-free at Dodge Raceway. On a quarter tank of fuel left. Lap 130. Yeah, but John, I mean, that's the difference, too. Sheldon Creed's the same way. Like, Sheldon Creed drives aggressively, but he can handle his racetrack. And that's why he's a champion. That's why he's a champion in the Truck Series. Because he's got talent. See, and it's not raw talent. Like, it's... Like, I mean, it is raw talent to a certain extent because they are younger. Nemechek is younger. Creed's younger. You know, younger meaning, like, their early 20s. But, like, it's not like a raw talent in the sense that they do have experience driving. I mean, Nemechek was in the Cup Series for a full season last year and really never made any mistakes. He never really got into any issues. He had a good rookie season. Underfunded equipment, too, and he outperformed his equipment at times. So he's he's got some talent even before he dropped back to the Truck Series. And then Sheldon Creed winning the championship last year. He stays out of trouble more often than not, and the only reason he even gets in trouble in the first place, same with Nemechek, is because it's somebody else's fault. So the only fault for Nemechek was that one Canadian Tire race where he punted Cole Custer off the racetrack and won the race. That's the only time I can recall Nemechek like getting overly aggressive and it was like really bad on him. But outside of that, he pretty much stays incident free. I think they got over him pretty quickly. We got a little crowded there. Now we have our first takers onto pit road at lap 138. So first drivers coming into the pits. This is going to be the first test. When these drivers do come off of pit road. Just really going to have to watch that track map on the upper right-hand corner of the screen, just trying to look and see where drivers are at on pit road, so that way Harvick can kind of time it and try to stay as low as he can down the back straightaway at those times. And it looks like they're coming out of the pits now at lap 142, and that's what I mean. They were on pit road for a good 3 laps. And they're checking up right here. Oh, man, there was a little bit of contact, but they all merged onto the racetrack that time. Problem is, we still have a good 35 cars or so left, and now we have a caution. So the first set of guys made it onto the track, and then we had a caution a little later, and actually wasn't for the pit road incident. The 168 car of Craig Miller gets into the outside wall off turn 2. Slid up the racetrack a little bit, pounded the wall with the rear of the race car. Tries to dive to pit road, but the caution will wave. Kevin Harvick will bring his Reese's Chevrolet onto pit road, as will everybody else who has not made their pit stop yet. So started green flag pit stops, caution waved. It actually wasn't for the pit stops themselves, like I would have thought, but I didn't expect this race to go caution free anyway, and we were just shy of halfway before getting the first yellow. Lap 142 was the first caution. DB Forever 85, welcome to the stream. Wow, Johnson out-qualified Scott Dixon? That's pretty good. Way to go, Jimmy. I think he's got a chip on his shoulder this weekend with all the NASCAR guys there, and he is willing to outperform. Harvick wins the race off pit road. He was the only car on the lead lap at the time into the caution anyway. Some drivers might have tried to stay out to take the wave around. Harvick will still restart from the lead, though. Green flag back in the air here at Dodge Raceway. Just less than halfway into this one, but Harvick should be good on fuel to the end of the race now. He's going to be a little patient. He wants to get down to the bottom as soon as he can. He could not hold the outside there off turn 4, and he does get to the bottom in front of Kenny Walls behind Ashton Lewis. A couple cars back on the lead lap. Now they're hoping for a quick caution so they can restart right behind Harvick. And with Harvick not having to pit the rest of the race, he pitted under yellow there. He's good on fuel to the end. This is going to be crazy, but Harvick actually could lead all 300 laps in this race today and get the win if things are going the way they are now. Tim Irvin, welcome to the stream. Oh, yeah, I watch pro wrestling. Yeah, I was at SmackDown a few weeks ago in Cleveland. I usually try to go to a couple live shows a year. Come into like Cleveland, Detroit, Toledo area. I'd love to go to WrestleMania sometime. If they ever have it back in Detroit again, I mean, they've been up in Michigan 3 times for WrestleMania before. The last time would have been 23, which I think was 2006. was the last time they were in, or 2006 or 2007 was the last time they were in Detroit. But if they ever go back, I have to go. It's just in my backyard. I was too young at the time, so my parents would have had to get the tickets. It wasn't like I really had much of a say in it. Now I do, so I'd love to go back. Actually, a couple months ago, oh man, Robert Over drove 1 and 2 right into the left rear of Ashton Lewis. Now we got somebody blowing their engine right in front of Kyle Busch at the rear of the lap cars. He's going to get up to the outside, trying to get out of the way. Hopefully he doesn't get ran into from behind. It looks like he'll make his way to pit road, so we will stay green. Staying green here at Dodge Raceway. You're probably watching SmackDown right now. It's like a soap opera thing. Some of the storylines get pretty good. If they have, I don't know if you're familiar with WWE or not. They're not as edgy as they used to be because it's PG now, and I don't like that personally now that I'm older because it's like there's certain things I can't say that it just kind of takes like that raw like aggression out of it, like makes it feel, I guess, more not real than what it already is. It is what it is. There are some people that can still pull it off though. Those are usually your better wrestlers when it comes to promos and stuff. A lot of the older veterans are still pretty good at it, but I think that's just them being around it for a long time. And it doesn't matter what circumstances they're in, they can thrive. Really liking the Edge and Seth Rollins feud going on right now too, going into SummerSlam. That should be a pretty good match. Busch is kind of pulling away from Ashton Lewis and Kevin Harvick right now, and he is just trying to dig through that lap traffic. We get another caution. Does Kyle Busch maybe have a shot to get back into this thing? It's actually quite entertaining. Honestly, though, now I will say, although like the promos and stuff aren't what they used to be, the match quality, though, I'd say they have a lot more athleticism now than what the wrestlers do now than what they ever have before. I mean, like, even the women are doing, like, these crazy flippy stuff. Like, too much flippy stuff is too much flippy stuff at times, but I mean, like, even they're doing stuff that, like, the guys wouldn't have been doing 20 years ago. Like, it's just crazy how much athleticism there is, like, at the top of the roster to the bottom. Like, back then, they were almost, like, too muscly to where, like, they looked athletic, but they were kind of slower. Now they still look like athletes, but they don't look like bodybuilders necessarily. Not all. Some of them still do, and they somehow move ridiculously quick, like your Bobby Lashley's and your Brock Lesnar's that are just like freak of natures, but those are just rare specimens in general. Yeah, get to watch Cody Ware pull off the double this weekend. That was rough at Nashville when he brought out that caution. Even the commentators were making fun of him, saying it was like watching Austin Powers, a scene out of Austin Powers, and he's trying to back up and then go forward again. He was like backing up and going forward like 2 or 3 times, trying to get the car straight back out, and then he stalled out. Should have been able to like correct it if he just would have turned the wheel the right way the first time. He just hesitated. Caution's out for the second time tonight. And that is a blessing for Kyle Busch and Ashton Lewis. Not sure what the yellow exactly was for. It looked like Terry Cook brought out the caution in the 10 car, but I'm not sure what he did. He's got really loose. Kind of caught the race car, but the caution waved. Either way, it's our second caution of the race. Kyle Busch is back in it all of a sudden, so Harvick's 1 lap lead is gone. Oh, John Cena's pretty entertaining, too. There's a reason why he's as big of a movie star as he is. Same with The Rock, man. Those guys just know how to bring the entertainment factor to things. Oh, wow. Harvick very aggressively cuts down on top of Kyle Busch, trying to beat him to the inside. He did not want to get trapped behind these lap cars. Remember, Harvick has led the first 181 laps of this race tonight. And now after that contact, it's Kyle Busch who gets stuck on the outside lane, and Harvick's holding on to the lead. Looks like Busch finally got ahead of those lap cars. It's about 1 second off the lead. At least towards the front of it. I don't think he quite has cleared yet. Definitely an overly aggressive move by Harvick to get to the inside, but he's got the potential to lead every lap in this race. Boy, he wants to, and after having that big lead and seeing it get wiped away because of 2 cautions back-to-back like that, now he needs to get back to his A game. Right now, it looks to be a 2-man race. Another caution is just going to bunch this field back together again. Another car blowing an engine. Tough to tell who that was. They made it onto pit road. So again, we do stay green. Well, Scott Dixon qualified 26. Did he have like an issue that maybe he had a bad lap because he got loose or something? Got into the marbles. A little less than a 2.5 second lead for Harvick. Back into the lap traffic again. Contact. 152 tries to move the 64 car up. We're all trying to give Harvick as much room as possible right now. Most of the lap cars all day today really have given Harvick quite a bit of room, letting him race on by. We'll eliminate through the different camera angles here for a few laps. Kind of locked the brakes up that time into turn 1, trying to keep it off the 22. Jason Keller to his outside. Cody Holt up there now in the 56 car. Harvick will clear him off turn 4. Just over a 3-second race lead for Kevin Harvick. We're closing in on about 100 laps to go. Everybody has made their first and only pit stop of the night. Oh, Dixon spun out in qualifying. Gotcha. Well, so much for my pick. It's tough to start out back in an IndyCar race and get the win. 3 wide. Still 3 wide, it looks like. Harvick breaks away from him. 100 laps to go here at Dodge Raceway. Saw how quick the first 200 have gone by. There is not a lot of time left in this race for Kyle Busch to possibly get back into it. 3 wide again through turns 1 and 2. A little contact between Kevin Harvick and J.J. Yaley. Yaley way up the racetrack. Off the exit of turn 2, and the 117 car is going to cross him back over. Oh, he had? Oh, losing his bad. My bad, I read that wrong. Never mind. Hey, if anybody can do it, though, it's Scott Dixon. Okay, maybe I'm changing my pick. The race hasn't started yet, so I can change my pick. I was looking at, like, racing reference for Indycar at the Indy road course. And Simon Pagenaud has won there 3 times, and Will Power has won there 4 times. And they've only been racing there since 2014. Scott Dixon's got 1 win there. That's pretty much it as far as the veterans go. I think Joseph Newgarden won a race there recently, too. I'm not taking Will Power to win, though, only because he had a pretty bad weekend last week, taking out a couple of his teammates. Though he does race for Penske, this is Penske's racetrack. Maybe he's going to try to make it up for the captain and be like, hey, my bad last week. I got you a win this week. Guess that's not impossible either. It's racing. Anything's possible. Heck, Michael McDowell won the Daytona 500 this year. I think a lot of people will finally let that sink in, but it's never going to be forgotten, though. Heck, a guy nearly flipped last week in Indycar and got the win. So, I mean, like I said, literally anything can happen. Any given race. Doesn't always have to be a super speedway in NASCAR either. If you're in it, you got a chance. I mean, Justin Haley won a range short race in his 3rd career start. I don't think anybody saw that happening either. Anything could happen. Harvick out to about a 6-second race lead. That's honestly about half a racetrack here at Dodge Raceway. So pretty comfortable lead. Harvick's starting to get through this lap traffic pretty well like he was earlier in the race. Again, he's led every lap so far tonight. Busch still has a chance, though. Still got 80 laps to go. 2 cautions got him right back into it, and he almost got around Harvick. Harvick chopped him off. Kyle Busch may remember that and try to maybe use the chrome horn on the restart if we get another one. 2 cautions so far. One at lap 142 and one at lap 170. Yeah, Ty Dillon won a stage on a road course. Anything could happen. School's boring like always. Well, it doesn't last forever, so there's a silver lining in there somewhere. Really arced. Turns 3 and 4. Got a little loose off the exit of turn 4, but kept it off J.J. Yaley, who was just to his outside. He'll clear Yaley off turn 2 to put him another lap down. And there are just 2 cars on the lead lap. Race leader Kevin Harvick, of course, and then second place Kyle Busch. About 8.5 second difference right now between the top 2. Harvick has led every lap today, so no lead changes. Harvick also qualified on the pole. Never led every lap of a NASCAR Chase for the Cup video game race, and it doesn't matter what race it is. Modifieds, trucks, now in the Busch series. These EA Sports video games are not easy, and boy, Harvick looking to make maybe a little bit of history here on the channel today. Still got about 69 laps to go at the line, though. Also, if it makes you feel any better, R6, at least we'll have your mental breather at night with these streams more often than not. At least you're to the weekend now, too, so there's also that. Give yourself a couple days off. Harvick's right back out to about an 11-second lead again. Now, Kyle Busch is going to be a tough pass to try and go a lap down, at least for Harvick's sake, trying to put him a lap down. Not going to be easy. Loose off turn 4, hangs on. Yep, 3/8 mile racetrack. Very, very short. Got 10 people watching right now. Thanks for everybody tuning in, by the way, here tonight. Likely going to run another race after this one on the NASCAR Chase for the Cup 2005 video game, and it will be at the Levi Strauss Signature Speedway, a 250-lap short track race there, 300 laps here on a short track, a couple of fantasy tracks on this game for this season mode, and Kyle Busch just went a lap down. So Harvick has lapped the field now for the second time today. See if Harvick can get back on the lead lap with another caution. And he'd need 2 more to get back into it. He had 2 earlier that got him back into it, and he almost got to the lead. Outside that small little glimpse where Harvick almost lost the lead on the restart, Harvick is still dominated, and he has led every lap so far tonight. Trying to make history as far as the channel goes. Very good possibility. Just needs to keep this car clean, and for the most part, he has done just that here tonight. Fast, but at the same time, just patient for the most part, getting around these lap cars, and you need to be on a track like this for as many laps as we have. Harvick coming off of a pretty dominating win the last race at Dover, but not this kind of domination. That was off of strategy. This one's just raw speed. He's got 50 laps left to continue this beatdown and claim that checkered flag. Fastest lap of the race for Harvick, still a 12.564. That was very, very early in the race before lap traffic was caught the first time. Kind of mentioned those would likely be the fastest laps of the race. And a lot of it was because of this lap traffic. Not like Harvick's running too much off that pace, even on about 100 lap older tires right now, compared to what it was at the start of the run. He's only about 2 to 3 tenths of a second on average off that original pace. Contact with Dwayne Borland. Just a tiny bit of the shakes that time. Harvick needs it to stay green. He does not want to get into anybody. I'm surprised nobody's ended up in the tire barrels tonight. I'm quite honest. Both cautions were not because of that. Not really sure exactly where Kyle Busch is on the racetrack right now in comparison to the race leader, Kevin Harvick. I will be bringing my PS2 on the road with me, so if we do stream tomorrow night, when I get back to the hotel, find something to eat for dinner, if we have any extra time, then we will be running NASCAR Chase for the Cup 2005 live from Indianapolis tomorrow night on the channel. And it will be some more NASCAR Busch Series action as well. I believe, knowing that we're going to be running a second race tonight, I believe that will be at the Milwaukee Mile. So another short track. Got 3 straight short tracks. And Daytona will be the race after Milwaukee as well. So it's a good racing continuing here on this Busch Series season. Three wide action. Some feedable all the way up high. Haven't really seen 3 wide much today, considering it is a 3/8 mile short track. Usually don't see a lot of that here. "29 laps away from history on the channel. Once again, if Harvick can lead every lap and win this race, I've been able to do that on this video game in any series. what an accomplishment this would be. It all started in qualifying before the start of the stream when Harvick qualified on the pole, and from there, again, he's led every lap. He's got about a quarter tank of fuel left, about 27 laps to go. Coming to 26 at the start-finish line. Again, this is not a very big racetrack. They did pit just before the halfway mark, so this will be the longer of the two runs as far as the tire stint goes to the end of the race. That first caution came out at lap 142. Had a few caution laps with the pit stops, but should be able to make it the 56 schedule, or 156 laps scheduled from that green flag. Plus, we also had a caution a little bit later in the race as well at lap 170, so total about 6 caution laps. So a tad longer than the first run, but not by much as far as the green flag laps are concerned. I think the trickier of the two short tracks, though this one's tricky, Harvick is showing his patience. If you have to do that in a different way, a very, very short triangular racetrack is the Levi Strauss Signature Speedway. Another track we raced at twice in the Modified Series, just like this very Dodge Raceway. Again, another fantasy track. 20 laps to go here at Dodge Raceway. 12.9, that's second to last lap for Harvick. Drove turn 3 there just a tiny bit. A little too much of the apron. It's 3 wide getting into turn 3 that time with Harvick on the inside. Alternate through the different camera angles for the next few laps. It'll be the second and final time in race 1 here tonight of the doubleheader. Oh, Harvick got squeezed into turn 1. He couldn't go any lower. And those left sides hooked to the inside line. Not sure what lap car that was on his outside. Gave him no room, and J.J. Yaley now gets into the back of Dwayne Borland. Borland got turned in the last race. He about got turned again. Sorry, that wasn't Borland. It was Drew Campbell in the 131. I thought it was the 135 from further away. So Campbell's going to cross Yaley back over and clear him off turn 4 anyway, as they let the race leader, Kevin Harvick, put him another lap down underneath him. 10 laps to go this time by for Kevin Harvick. Just dominating race. I wonder what the elapsed race time is going to be. 2 cautions wasn't many. I knew it wasn't going to go caution-free, at least. Despite going 142 laps green to start the race. Cautions might not be done yet. We've been seeing a lot of contact here in the last handful of laps or so. Still got 8 more to get to that checkered flag. There's Kyle Busch. Stuck on the outside again. Harvick 3 wide to the inside under a couple lap cars. Tim Feeder was holding up Kyle Busch right now. Busch finally gets back to the bottom. We'll get around him. And now he's underneath the 107 as well. Harvick might be able to lap the field a second time if he can get back around Busch. Pushed a little hard into the 107. Oh, he got into Kyle. He overdrove turn 3. Busch still fighting on the outside. 5 laps to go here at Dodge Raceway. Tires are very old. About 150 laps worth on him. Harvick clears Busch off turn 4. He's got a 2-lap lead now on the field late in this one. That's about all she wrote. Knowing that at the most we'd only get one attempt at a green-white checker anyway, it is all said and done. I've kind of locked the tires up a little bit into turn 3. Didn't slide him too much, though. Past Ray Westbury. Final lap. History on the channel once again. Kevin Harvick will lead every lap in tonight's race from the pole at the Dodge Raceway. What a clinic. 2 races in a row, he has led at least 75% of the race. More than 75% to be exact. And knowing this engine had the power it did tonight, Harvick's just going to do a good old traditional Polish victory lap. One of the fans here at the Dodge Raceway. Man, look at that margin of victory. That's just crazy. Even back to 8th place with 6 laps down, Steve Calloway. A lot of fantasy drivers ended up finishing the top 10. Remember, there wasn't really any... Oh, no! Well, that's just not fair. Kevin Harvick led all 300 laps tonight. But it said Kyle Busch led a lap. Kyle Busch did not lead a lap. He almost got around Harvick on the restart, but he didn't even really... Forget what this game says. We led all 300. The only bummer is, though, is as far as the points go, Kyle Busch is going to get 5 bonus points, even though he didn't actually lead a lap. Remember, he's second in the standings behind Harvick. So he's keeping the pressure on him. Just got handed some bonus points. I'm going to go back and look at that real quick. I don't know when exactly it was. I need to try and find it. It would have been after the second caution. There were the pit stops, so that was the first yellow. I want to know where Kyle Busch would have even possibly led a lap. There is no way he led a lap. Okay. I'm going back to the restart. I'm watching the restart right now. I'm going back and watching that last restart. Just to make... I mean, he might have led a lap. I don't remember him leading a lap, though. I think the game just made an error. Harvick led all 300 today. Because even during those pit stops under the yellow, remember, Kyle Busch was a lap down, so he couldn't have even led a lap like on pit road. So there it is. Busch is underneath Harvick. Harvick pinches him off. And that's it. I mean, he never even got back underneath him. That was the only time he even got underneath Harvick. He was nowhere close to leading the lap. Yeah, this game messed up. We led all 300 laps. Kyle Busch didn't lead any. He'll get the bonus points, though, unfortunately for us. But can you imagine if we lose the championship by less than 5 points? Just you look back to this race when the game made a scoring error. Yes, an EA Sports game actually did make a scoring error. That's a rarity, but it I guess it happened. Ashton Lewis finishes in third. Ron Hornaday finishes fourth. Dwayne Borland rounds out the top 5. What a hot streak for Dwayne Borland. Kenny Walsh's been pretty hot lately, too. He finishes 6th. Terry Cook 7th after bringing out a caution earlier in the race. Callaway 8th. Lou Castleberry 9th, and Mindy Brown will round out the top 10. Nobody finished on the lead lap. Yeah, I said 2 lead changes. There was no lead changes. We led every lap in this race. Nope, I call BS. We led every lap. That is history on the channel here tonight. Total race time to get all 300 laps in, even with 2 cautions that didn't really slow the race pace down too much. 1 hour, 9 minutes. That's just crazy. It honestly felt a little longer than that, but it's just wild how quick that race flew by. That's why we're going to have a second one tonight. Bobby Hamilton Jr. blew an engine early on. Hammock, Nixon also had engine failures. So 3 drivers failed to finish this race. And actually, either Hammock or Nixon might have been one of those fantasy drivers that brought out the second caution of the race. I'm not entirely sure. Might have been Hammock because he was shown 168 points off the lead. All right. The Coyote Run 250 at Levi Strauss Signature Speedway coming up next on the channel. Like, share, and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. I will see you guys for that stream here in a couple minutes. Just going to refill my water. Be back up here and qualify, and we'll get the stream started. So thanks, everybody, for watching. See you very, very soon.